you having a good time? Yeah. Carry on, this is good, I like this. Adulation. Okay, make me earn it, right? So, do you want to carry on the theme that we've been going through? So far you have one model of putting people in trance, and a very effective one, by the way. This induction, I think, is more effective than most of the long 5-hour relax until your feet fall off type trances. Purely because the mind hasn't got a chance to doubt. It's just too quick for them, right? But even if you only have one way of doing it, it doesn't give you very much range. So I want to give you a sense of the structure we've given you so far. There's principles behind it. How do we take the principles out and create any instant induction about anything, anytime, anywhere, any place, with anyone, with anything, type thing. Would that be interesting? So let's start off with some different mannerisms that you can do to achieve the same effect. Would that be good? So can I borrow a volunteer? A volunteer, anyone? Oh, please, come on up. That's it, go on, give him a right round of applause, why not? Hey Scott, come on up over here. So you're used to the whole trance, bring him here, into the shoulder, that sort of thing, easy as it is, right? Let me take this off, because I have learned from my mistakes. So what if you have someone really tall you can't do this with? What if you have someone who you feel is a bit more body shy and doesn't want to have that personal contact? They don't mind you touching a little bit here, but maybe, you know, when you start playing with the balance a bit, there's like, oh, this person's a bit more nervous about that. How do you do the same induction without doing that, right? So now I like to change I should put the sun on this side because we're going to move around a little bit. Now I like to change hands purely and simply because this is my stronger hand. I'm going to use my hand instead of my shoulder, right? Now here's what not to do. Right? I presume you don't want me to demonstrate that.
Probably not.
Okay. So you do exactly the same thing, only this time, just to show you the physical motion, you're going to gently bring the head into your hand, and then just maybe massage his head this way. So you're doing the same thing, only you have a little more space, and in terms of balance, this is probably going to help you as well in this sense. There's no balance issues here, right? Now, to assist on that, I'm just going to give some suggestions ahead of time, like a pre-hypnotic suggestion, to make sure that this person does not collapse on me. It's something I would do, generally speaking, anyway, but it's particularly important when you get a sense that the other person has some kind of a balance issue going on, because they might be afraid of falling. So what I'll say is, I want you to realize that in a moment with the whole hypnosis thing, your feet will always support your body. Your legs will lock, your hips will support your upper body. No matter what happens to the rest of it, you will always stay comfortably balanced. You understand what I mean, right? Very good. Look at me. Take a deep breath in, breathe out, sleep all the way. That's right. Deeper, deeper, deeper. Deeper, that's right, you're doing great. And when we're going to count from 1 to 3, at the count of 3, you'll open your eyes feeling refreshed, relaxed, alert. Simply fantastic. Only this time, of course, you know what's been going on inside the minds of the others in the exact same position. And for you, you'll be like going through that whole hypnotic journey, 2 hours worth of solid hypnosis training in just seconds before you open those eyes. So ready to do that now? 1, coming up slowly. 2, taking a deep breath in. And 3, open your eyes feeling refreshed, relaxed, alert. Simply fantastic. How are you doing?
Great.
Give a nice round of applause. Let's sleep all the way down. Deeper. So relax even more fully. That's right. Going all the way through and understanding that there's so many different ways for your mind to surprise you about hypnosis. Because just as you had received a surprise there, that's right, you can go deeper still. Your body's always comfortably supported by those legs. You can realize there are so many things happening inside you that are going to give you exquisite skills in hypnosis. Physical, non-verbal, as well as the verbal and intellectual. The whole range is going to be your playground. This time as I count from 1 to 3, you'll come out feeling refreshed, relaxed, so that's simply fantastic. Really knowing that inside of you. And with a great big thanks from me for helping with this demonstration. 1, coming up slowly. 2, taking a deep breath in. 3, open your eyes, feeling refreshed, relaxed, alert, simply fantastic. This is the real one. You did great, thank you. Have a seat again. Now, and thank you, Scott, for going along with that. The main reason for doing that is to show you that he expected the one, and he didn't expect the other. Did you see the surprise in the second? That's the typical reaction you get. And by the way, is there anything difficult about the first or the second variation we just did? It's exactly what you're doing. One, you instead of bringing to your shoulder, you bring them to your head. On the other one, instead of pulling on the back of the neck gently, you're pulling on the hand gently. Note how I didn't rip his arm out of his socket, right? All I did was give him enough, like, this is not a handshake, right? And I was just going like, what is this? The rest happened. And the profoundness of the trance that you experienced there, I mean, you can comment if you like on your experience in a moment. That's part and parcel of the extra surprise of not expecting it. Hence, I kind of cheated a little bit. Can we have a microphone down here, please?
That happened so quickly that I'm not even sure what happened.
Thank you. That's exactly what's meant to be.
So it looks like magic, and I'm sure magicians have a lot of these skills, but can you
I'll talk you through it step by step right now. But
Okay.
in essence, all I've done is I've done exactly the same thing you guys have been doing all day today, only I've compressed the steps into a quicker sequence. But it's exactly the same thing. In terms of what we did earlier today, we've just stretched that sequence out in more slow motion, so you can have each little piece there smoothly and easily. But it was exactly the same sequence. So I'll give you both things in slow motion. Can I borrow you as well again, seeing as we used you? I won't do the induction at this point because I'm not looking for an induction now. I'm just looking for you to see the physical maneuvers, right? So the first one, instead of doing an induction this way, I'm cupping with the back of the other hand. Why? Because I want my strong hand, my dominant hand, to support his head. I'm keeping my hand somewhere around here. Initially it starts as a focal point, and that's what it seems like to him. But when I go sleep, my hand's there to catch him. What I'm not doing is moving my hand away, which kind of lets his head goes nowhere. I'm bringing it in slightly, and as I come in, I pull back. So this is my motion just on the hand. I come in, and I pull back slightly. The reason I pull back is because his head's coming forward. If my hand's coming in and his head's coming forward, not good. If my hand comes in, the head goes forward, and I pull back at the last minute, I get to catch it. I'm basically joining his speed, and I get to catch it in a gentle thing. Then all I'm doing is, I'm just rotating his head. It's another way of, we're talking about different types of deepening in a moment, so it's a different way of deepening it. So rather than using language, I'm going to now use physical motions coupled with language to do that. And that's pretty much it. Then we brought him back out. Does that, as a sequence of steps, make sense to you guys? Does that make sense to you guys, as a sequence of steps? Yeah? Okay. So the second one was identical. The only difference was that instead of pulling the back of the head, I used a surprise because he's thinking I'm going to shake his hand to thank him to go down. So this is what my cheek bit is because I knew it's going to happen. No one's going to trust me from this point, are they? Sorry. So as I'm shaking his hand, he's expecting, this is what people expect from a handshake, right? Sometimes it's a little bit awkward, but sometimes it's too, but really they're expecting this, right? So I'm giving him this, I'm not letting go, and I'm pulling a little bit. Do you see how his body is off balance here? That's the equivalent of this. Note what I'm not doing, don't hold on. No, what I'm not doing is, right? That's the more martial version of the trance. You don't want that one. What I'm doing is, as he's expecting this, I might even actually not even lift. Sometimes I won't even lift, I'll just go straight to the pull. But what I'm looking for is that tug on the shoulder. It doesn't take any energy at all. This is what I'm doing. Same energy, just hold onto my hand so I don't even have to hold onto yours. Right? Do you see his shoulder pop forward? That's all you want. You don't need any more than that. At that point, basically you'll know all about this. Where's he gone? Where's Robbie? Oh, there you go. All that is happening at this point is you're triggering the startle reflex. And there are 100 ways to do that. You'll know a lot of them. But that's what we're looking for. Startle reflex here. Startle reflex here, popping the shoulder forward. Startle reflex here. Startle reflex there. That's all we're looking for. Startle reflex there. The minute the body goes into what's going on, we have a spike. The minute we have a spike, we throw in the suggestion, and then once that happens, you just go for the streamlining of it afterwards. That's it. It's not rocket science. All you need to do is know what the mechanics you're doing. You're triggering the startle response in whatever way it takes your fancy, and then you just play. Does that make sense? Now, for the purposes of what we're doing here, let's begin by experimenting with the different physical motions, the different ways of triggering that response separately, so you get used to and comfortable with each one. Sorry, nice round of applause. Thank you very much. I'd like for you to get comfortable with each version first, so you understand, because each one has a slightly different set of dynamics in terms of where the balance point is, where you hold on to them, how you keep them safe, and we'll build up so you have a whole repertoire of amazing instant shock inductions. Make sense? Go ahead.
On the second shock induction, when you are doing the handshake, are you pulling the hand straight back or down?
It doesn't matter. There's no need to be so technical, because all you're doing is a mild movement. It's nothing like kind of more things you're used to more. Literally, all you're doing is a mild. I'll show you so you can get a sense of what I mean. Okay? All I'm looking for is for that shoulder to pop forward a fraction. right? Now, whether I pull down or pull back or pull up, it really doesn't matter. All I'm looking for is, do you see that? That's all, right? That's all we're looking for. It's gentle and it's easy. There's no physical strength or anything like that. We'll come on to that more, by the way, when we do it in a minute. We're not actually doing it yet. We're going to do the other one first. Thank you. Does that I just want to emphasize the gentleness aspect of what we're doing. We're not looking, I'll come back to you guys in a second. We're not looking to violate someone. We're looking to trigger an automatic response, which is the startle reflex. Does that make sense? And we're trying to trigger that as gently as possible, because if we're doing it physically, we don't want to damage them or take the risk of damaging them, right? So go ahead.
So it seems like the first part is the person has to be aware of what you're going to do so that they're comfortable with you, and then you want to surprise them with this movement.
Precisely. You don't necessarily, they don't necessarily have to know what's going to come next, although we can pre-talk the whole thing so they sets up the expectations. The important thing is they're comfortable with me. So if I'm just having a conversation with someone and I reach to shake their hand and then go sleep, it can still happen. Although I have to work a lot harder at the back end because there's a lot more trust I have to build up. So I've got to have a lot more of those H+ signals. To make it easier on myself, I'll pre-frame it, usually by getting permission for trance so they know something's going to happen. Right? A stage hypnotist doesn't ask for permission because they're already there. I mean, the fact that you're in a stage hypnosis show and come up on the stage, you kind of know what you're up for right now, right? But the whole comfort building thing, it comes from your attitude before you do anything. Now, whether you tell them what's going to happen or not, doesn't matter. In the case with Scott, we demonstrated what we do in terms of the creating the sort of stability in the base, because that's part of the concern he might have had. But really, there's nothing different in terms of the setup. So I'm just training an expectation, and then I'm shocking them. If they think they know what's coming, then I want to change it in some way so they know when it's coming or how it's coming, and that way I get more leeway. Okay, so go ahead.
Yes, regarding the forehead holding, depends on the height of the individual
Sure.
as well. So this is a variety of different style on the induction.
Exactly. So you're having variety just so you have choice. A, so you don't get bored as a hypnotist. Yes. And B, so you can fit different situations. Some people don't like as much body contact, so you have a different choice there. Some people, for example, if I was working with someone massive, then I'm not going to bring him on my shoulder because we're both going down, and I don't want that. I want no risk of that happening, right? So I'm going to keep his balance firm. I'll probably do the pre-statement again so that I don't take any of his balance. And then I'll just take the balance on the head. Because really, if you think about it, when we took his head forward, we're doing the same thing in terms of balance. It's on the head rather than the whole body, which is a lot easier in terms of managing the physical elements of that. Does that make sense?
Yes. What would you suggest that would be for the person is more massive, like more heighter?
If he's taller or a lot heavier than
Yes.
you, I suggest doing what I just did a moment ago with Scott, which is still pulling the back of the head, but you don't bring him forward as much. You just bring your hand in and just do. We're about to practice it in a minute anyway, but that's what I suggest because you don't take their full balance. Right. The balance just comes from the neck up. So this is kind of a great joint because this can be balanced and this can be all over the place. That's where I would take it.
Okay, thank you.
And there are other ways as well. We'll talk about other ways as we go through today. Any other questions? Anyone else with? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you just showed like with the handshake interrupt there. What kind of a time window do you have to give your suggestions? Once you've got the startle trigger in, how quickly or at what pace should you
remember,
address
you're doing the general trance sequence, which is induced trance, deepen trance, suggest, take them out, is still true here, right? So induction of trance is the shock and sleep. At that point, you only have a spike. This spike, well, depending on the person, lasts between a fraction of a second and 2 seconds at the most. I've never seen anyone go beyond that sort of range unless they decided they're going to go into trance anyway and just stay there, right? So this spike is very, very brief, which is why you always see me backing it up straight away with either language or the non-verbal kind of feedback, usually both, because I know as soon as that word sleeps come out, as soon as that initial shock thing is like, oh, what's going on here, I need to now, I think of it like a horse that's been startled and is going to be trying to pull away. So it's going easy now. It's okay, easy. Shh, it's easy. Relax. It's okay. It's okay. That's kind of the mental image I have in my mind when I'm doing it. I've startled the horse and I've got to calm him down again. So I'm going straight into it. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Anyone else? Madam?
I was just wondering how we would do these inductions with people who we haven't prepared them to accept that we're doing hypnosis.
Great question, because that's exactly what we're about to do. We're going to do the whole preparation phase right now. Okay? So hold on to that thought. We're going to take one more question, and then we'll just go into actual exercise. Can we come to your question afterwards? This lady here was here first. Go ahead, Shay.
Oh, I was thinking that point where the second spike, I guess, would be where you would go first with the emotion. That was my revelation on myself when we were doing this, because also you mentioned horses, and I work with horses, and if I feel something, they feel it.
Yes, actually, that's a great general rule of thumb to take. A lot of people disagree with me on this, but this has been my experience, both as a hypnotherapist or just as a general hypnotist, which is, how many people here outside of this context have hypnotized people before? Let me ask you this specifically for you guys, although I think you'll have correlatory experiences for the rest of you. Have you ever noticed, like, you're doing maybe a session or a trance induction, and you get this feeling inside your gut, like, this is all going horribly wrong? Oh, yeah. But there's no signs, there's no real reason for it, because they're all, I mean, let's face it, traditional trance is this. And suddenly think, this is not working. But they're still like this. And other times you're going, oh, I'm on fire, this is great, and they're still like... So there's technically no real feedback there, right? Or at least not that you can take too much conscious awareness of. So what I believe, and this is just a belief, you can take or leave it as you wish, is that we all sub-communicate very subtle signals that tells us where we're at and what's going on inside us. And our unconscious minds are greatly attuned to that whole thing. So then, I mean, I used to think, you know, this is like a more social setting. I go to a party and I used to be a little shy and nervous, and you talk to someone and I'd feel like awkward, like, what's your name? Oh, Christ, what's the next question? Right? Then I'd be with other people and I'd go like, chat, and this idea and that idea, and we'd be firing sparks like you're a dragon, right? But why would I be like this weird split personality? It took me forever to realize it wasn't me, it was them. Some people were really comfortable, and I responded to that with comfort, and that's what I got, and that's how I started talking more naturally. Others were just like closed off, and that's what I sensed as well, and that's what I go with. So as a rule of thumb, what Shay said is the perfect way of putting it. If you're feeling it, chances are they're feeling it too. The only exception to that is if you have a personal issue which is being fired off, that means, you know, something that's inside you anyway, and usually you get to recognize that. Or you have issues with emotional boundaries, in which case you're projecting your state on someone else. But those are more extreme things. As you get used to the subtlety here, you will get it's weird, you get a sense of where the other person's at. I don't know where it comes from, but it does. So thank you for the insight. It's a very important one. Listen to your instinct, guys. And if your instincts tell you to do something which violates whatever principles or whatever I said you should do, follow your instinct. Chances are it'll be more right than what I say. Serious. Unless it involves violence or major ethical violations, in which case, let me put this on tape, don't do it.